It's Monday, October 12th, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Trade unionist and political hopeful Toni Moore is no longer an independent senator. Attorney General Dale Marshall made the disclosure at a Barbados Labour Party political meeting at Sheffield Pasture, Lower Estate, St. George last night. The announcement came amidst calls from several quarters for Moore to resign from the upper house after she was selected as the ruling BLP's candidate for the St. George North November 11 by-election. Marshall said Moore's resignation took effect on October 1st.
I want, and I have Tony's permission to say this. Toni Moore has written the Governor General of Barbados and has resigned from the Senate of Barbados with effect from the 1st of October. And I have been honored to see the correspondence. I can't share it with you because it is private correspondence between her and the Governor General. If the Governor General gives me permission, I will show it another day. But this correspondence refers to a number of conversations that Toni Moore had with the Governor General. And then she said, I am grateful for the opportunity to serve, but I feel I must now resign. Toni Moore is a decent and honorable woman.
Moore also addressed calls for her to resign as an independent senator at last night's meeting.
In a way, that's a score I could have settled from last week by talking to you about. But the truth is, had I told you that, what the rest will be talking about for the last week and a half? So in a way, although the Attorney General told you, and yes, he had my permission if he saw it fit, I wanted that conversation to go on because the only way they would know what really was done or wasn't done is when there's a next session of Senate and they're reading out the letters and notices from Her Excellency. But I wanted them to continue on in that debate because what you are getting from the opposition is not what they are going to do for you. They are putting their focus on me and making it about what I shouldn't do or what I didn't do. And I don't mind if the focus is on Moore. But for the purpose of the next couple of weeks, I want you to reflect carefully. I want you to recognize that we have an employment challenge. We have a number of serious challenges in this country. There is a lot of work to do. That I am your person, I am your man, I am your woman, however you want to see me, that is up for the challenge. And I am going to represent the people of St. George North because representation is in my blood. It is what I do.
The Democratic Labour Party held a political meeting and gospel concert at the Glebe St. George last night. It was there that its candidate, cricketer Floyd Reifer, took to the political stage for the first time and launched his campaign. Declaring that he was a man of action, the political hopeful touted some of his plans for the constituency.
Friends, I have a vision for St. George North. It is a vision for community empowerment and a vision for community inclusion. Yes, I said it, inclusion. Everyone that has something to contribute must be able to do so, whether they hail from Parishland, Flat Rock, Walkers, St. Jude's, Rowan Spark, anywhere in St. George North. Whether they're old, young, or in between. Everyone that wants to advance and better themselves shall also be able to do so. Why is it in 2020 that with all the technology and skills available in St. George North, our young men and women can't get help to pursue a business or even a community project? I am going to change that.
Reifer also announced plans for agriculture development and a community resource bank.
And we will match people who have experience in various aspects of business with those who need advice and guidance to bring their ideas to life. That same community resource bank will serve as a directory of businesses and services available in St. George North, whom Johns will beat first. We know that St. George North is part of this island's breadbasket when it comes to food production. Imagine in 2020, our farmers still struggle to sell their produce. When we have community centers and other spaces that can serve as the location for weekly farmers markets. I have plans. Big plans.
Householders and property owners are being urged to step up surveillance in and around their premises as the Ministry of Health and Wellness monitors cases of dengue fever in the country. It comes in light of outbreaks in St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and French Guiana. The ministry said while there has been an increase of suspected and confirmed cases in the first 9 months of this year compared to the same period in 2018 and 2019, the numbers had not risen beyond what is expected. From January to September, there were 174 suspected or probable cases reported, with 6 laboratory confirmations. No deaths have been reported. These cases were type 3 dengue virus, a strain that has been circulating in Barbados since 2016. Antigua and Barbados Prime Minister Gaston Brown says Cabinet is prepared to support financial plans to see LIAT back in the skies. More in this report from ABS News.
Caribbean governments have been agreeing to write off debts owed by regional airline LIAT. However, negotiations are continuing with other creditors, and the Prime Minister Gaston Brown says his government is being proactive.
While the administration is negotiating, we have decided that we will provide the funding so that the administrator could continue to do LIAT's work.
The Prime Minister says the Administrator Cleveland Seaforth has been developing a plan for the airline, which is expected to be finished within 30 to 45 days. He says once the plan is presented, funds will be available.
We had borrowed $15 million to invest in LIAT, and we have commenced utilizing some of those funds, and we will make the funds available to assist the receiver in his objectives to try and get LIAT back in the air.
Prime Minister Brown says the government will be lending the money as a preferred creditor.
If things do not work out, then the government of Antigua and Barbados will be the first to be repaid.
But if LIAT takes flight again, the company will be smaller than it was before.
Maybe with about probably 4 planes, not the LIAT with 10 planes.
This will mean less people working for the company.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Regionally, today is being observed as International Day for Reparations, and over the weekend, the chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, spoke on the highly debated issue during an online conversation with former director of the UWI Institute of International Relations to commemorate the day. More in this report from TV6 News.
And you're talking about £7 trillion if you were to make a calculation on the unpaid labor Britain took from the Caribbean. That is more than their GDP.
CARICOM Reparations Commission Chairman Sir Hilary Beckles says that's just a reference to show the enormity of what's owed. Should reparations be paid, do not expect to see checks being handed out on street corners.
An investment development fund globally and nationally managed for the purpose of sponsoring economic and social development at the site of the extraction. This was the model that was used largely by the Jewish reparations committees.
Speaking during the NGC Bocas Lit Fest discussion, Sir Hilary said although a number of Caribbean countries are independent, the region is still reeling from the effects of colonialism.
When the United Nations declared in the 1960s they were going to set up these international bodies to push through decolonization, that was 60 years ago. The process is not complete. So we need to go back to the United Nations and say, you know, those committees on colonization that were part of the rethinking of the New World, you need to come back to the table because the process is not complete.
And finally, reports are that the U.S. presidential campaign is set up to gear up again this week as President Donald Trump returns to the trail after his doctor declared him no longer a risk of COVID-19 transmission. More in this report from Reuters TV.
Donald Trump is no longer a transmission risk for COVID-19, his doctor said late on Saturday, as the US president seeks to put the respiratory disease behind him and return to campaigning.
First of all, I'm feeling great. I don't know about you. How's everyone feeling?
Trump, who is trailing his Democratic challenger Joe Biden in opinion polls, addressed a crowd of largely black and Latino supporters from the White House balcony on Saturday afternoon, his first public event since his hospitalization.
Get out and vote. We got to vote. We got to vote these people into oblivion. Vote them into oblivion. Got to get rid of them.
His physician, Sean Conley, said in a statement after the event that Trump had taken a test on Saturday, showing he was no longer a transmission risk to others and that there was no evidence of actively replicating virus.
So many people.
The White House had no immediate comment on whether Conley's statement meant Trump has actually tested negative for the coronavirus.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.